So let's talk about new systems. We're in the next gen officially. I saw a 360 today at the flea market. I said that's old gen.
I've had to explain. So I had a really nice customer come in today, older guy, right? I would put him in his late 50s. It's like, I've been playing my Xbox for a long time. He's like, I really like these games. I'm thinking about getting something with better graphics. He's like, I'm looking at an Xbox 360 or PS3. And I just realized today that as I'm trying to explain, because he asked about the Xbox One and the PS4 as well. As I'm trying to explain to him what would be the pros and cons of, staying with, well, the past generation or going with the new generation, that I had to start referring to PS3 and Xbox 360 as last generation. It was the first time since that's because I was gone all last week. It's the first time since I've started working that I now officially have to refer to the PlayStation 3 as a last gen system. And
wow, it's like you've been through a time warp.
Yeah,
going home to Buffalo.
Right, it's ridiculous. But yeah, so the initial word out on the PlayStation 4 seems to be much of what I expected it to be. It's another video game system, and people seem to be enjoying their PlayStation 4s. But it doesn't seem to be shaking anything up too much. No. Of all the launch games that came out, the only one that interests me, and it's funny because I bought both my PS3 and my 360 for a download title. But I really want to play Resogun on the PS4. It looks fantastic. It's made by the same people who did...
What is Resogun?
It's sort of like Defender on a cylinder, but everything is made up... I believe everything is made up of voxels. Everything is individually rendered, so when things explode, everything has a very unique look to it. But it's made by the same people who made Super Stardust HD, if I'm not mistaken, Housemarque. And... I really loved Super Stardust HD, and this game looks just as fun. It's an arcade game at the base core of it, and 5 years ago, I would have bought a system near launch. 10 years ago, I would have bought a system near launch for an arcade game, but I'm not repeating the buy a 360 for Pac-Man Championship Edition again. I need something more substantial than Resogun before I get my PS4. But the Xbox One, initial impressions are interesting. And
well, they're trying... That's the thing. The PS4 is almost like the Super PS3, right? It's just... You're getting, in theory, better graphics. The controller is almost exactly the same. You have a little touch pad on it.
Sure. There's that analogy. It's like the Nintendo to the Super. You're getting a slightly better graphics.
And I've argued before that, hell... I was at E3. I couldn't tell the difference between the next gen and current gen games.
I can when I look at some a little bit deeper, but it's not a big enough jump to get me super excited.
It's not even the jump from DVD to Blu-ray where it's like, yeah, you'll notice it. I don't think it's even that big a jump. It's like a super DVD from DVD. It's like, oh, we'll give you 25% better resolution. Well, can I really tell on most things? No, but it's there. Like Killer Instinct. No, you won't notice that it could have been a 360 game. But anyway. So that's the thing. Sony's playing it safe, and that's going to work for them. They're going to have their core audience, and they're probably going to have their new audience, or new consumers, I should say, that are pissed off about what Xbox One was trying earlier in the year with the DRM and the used game bullshit that they were trying.
Even if you get over that,
and the Kinect spying on you in your underwear, they might shift. Not saying a lot of people, but like 10% even. If they lose 10% of sales, that's huge. Going over to Sony. But go ahead.
Nope, lost it.
Oh, great. Come on, momentum. But the Xbox One's trying something different. They are honestly trying to do something, and they want to be the entire media center. They want to be the media center. They want to actually literally control your living room. So, for example, there was a great Kotaku, really in-depth review about all the stuff that's on the system. And it's really telling about how the Xbox One is sort of placing itself in the market, because 80% of it has nothing to do with games.
Right.
So basically, what you first need to know is that there's an HDMI input to put your cable to connect. You're putting your cable not to your TV. You don't have to. You can put your cable box into the Xbox One, which will then go to your TV. They literally want your Xbox One to be the command structure, the HAL, if you will, of your living room. So that there's voice commands to turn on. It's basically using your Xbox One as a universal remote, which is interesting. But I don't know if anyone ever asked for that. That's what's interesting about that whole approach.
My initial thoughts on it, and I read a couple of the reviews and impressions of the Kotaku one included in some other sites. I didn't ask for it, and I don't know how much I would use it. I love some new technology, and I hate others. I don't like voice commands. I don't like hand waving. I wouldn't want any of that. And from what I've read, if you forego the voice commands for a lot of things on the Xbox One, the button presses to achieve the same thing are a bit more complex than they really need to be because so much focus was put on the voice. And that would probably drive me nuts after not very long, especially if the voice recognition or the camera wasn't spot on 100%. If I pick up a remote, provided the batteries are fresh in it, and I press a button to change the channel or lower the volume, it does it. If I'm yelling at something and it's not working, I'm just going to resort to the old methods, and none of this new stuff would mean anything to me. So I actually will say that I applaud Microsoft for trying something that's neat like that, and for some people, that's going to be a big seller for them. People who love the new technology, and they like that idea, but it just sounds awful to me. I don't even know that I'd even attempt to use it.
But where did that come from? Did it come from the fact that, as we said before, and this goes back to, was this new generation necessary this year? Which I would argue no. It could have waited a year or two.
Sure.
Not for Nintendo. They needed to upgrade the graphics. But for Sony and Microsoft, probably not. Is this the last hurrah when we have to now evolve from being... Since we know that it's diminishing returns for graphics, which it is at this point, do we have to add shit that you might not even wanted? Like the voice commands, having it turn on your entire living room entertainment center, having now, we'll get into it, the snap command where you can multitask somehow while playing your game. You can snap and watch the internet or your TV on the side, like the total ADD sort of appeal.
Right, and my response to that is very neat, but why? I mean, so when you look at someone who's going to do a business pitch, you know, when they talk to you about business pitches, they tell you, make sure you have an answer for why you're creating or offering the service that you're making. There has to be a need for it in order for it to succeed. So if someone's inventing something, there has to be a need. They can't just be, I can make this thing that's very cool, because people won't buy it if there's no need for it. So people, I don't know. I mean, did they really do some focus testing? I mean, and people are like, I want to be able to turn on my TV and change channels with my voice, or did they just add it because it looked cool and it's going to appeal to early adopters? Because I think
will it appeal to early adopters?
Well, much like Wii's motion controls, as time went on, people cared less and less about it. It was neat and fresh at the beginning, but as time went on, people just looked at it as the gimmick that it kind of was. Now, it's here to a degree that's always going to stay, but the actual heavy flailing motion controls phased out. So I feel like this whole voice controlled command center, you know, enterprise setup where you're commanding things with your voice and your hand motions, I have a feeling as time goes on, there's going to be a far less emphasis placed on it.
Well, I think it's interesting because when you look at it, cable TV and TV in general is dying with younger people in general. With the advent of
together, are they fighting?
Yes,
on
they're
the same
fighting.
side?
It's a giant war. It's kind of like Skynet.
Oh,
TV's like Skynet.
Right.
But anyway, so with the advent, not just the internet, Netflix is huge. I talk to more and more people that say, I don't have TV anymore, or I don't have cable at least. I just have Netflix and or Hulu, and that's 95% of stuff I want to watch. Yeah. And then you can go online and watch The Daily Show or South Park the next day. So it's not like, you know what I mean? It's not like you couldn't find avenues to watch it. Not even going the illegal route anymore. Like before, even 3-4 years ago, before like The Daily Show would put everything online, for example, all their episodes, you know, you could probably find torrents that, or the Burn Notice episode that I missed in season 2, and now they put them on the website because they get the ad review from that too. They realize that's important.
Yeah.
So I mean, we're at the point where
does cable even really matter? I see where you're going with this, and that's a good point.
And if this is a big part of the Xbox One to incorporate with your cable TV, it's almost like, not that it's a waste, but I think they're just flailing around trying to find something different and unique in order to have it stand out.
Right.
And in the Kotaku article, their main point was the hardware is in place, but the software isn't necessarily there yet. Like the stuff functions, but it doesn't work the way it should easily.
Sure.
And I understand they're rushing it up before Christmas and to compete with the PS4, but how much was this because of the big turnaround with the DRM? How much was that interference from that, or else it was just them rushing it out for Christmas? I wonder.
No one knows, but I mean, I do seem to remember talk back at E3 even that the one was not as far along as Microsoft wanted you to believe it was.
So then it's just that they're just behind the development.
Yes. So I always say this is a curse, whether it's with video games, with a pinball machine because they can operate on the same principles, or a system's firmware. It's great that things can be updated, but I really dislike the whole releasing it before it's ready thing and then patching it as they go along.
And that's what's happening.
And I'm sure the Xbox One will get a lot of these issues sorted out, but if the problems aren't, and I don't know that they're going to be enough to make anyone regret they purchased one, but it's a shame that people who are getting one aren't going to have it the way it should be out of the box because they felt the need. Well, because everyone felt the need to rush the next generation a year early.
Well, for $600, it better damn well be whatever.
$500.
Okay, are you going to buy an extra controller?
No, I'm not, but that's
if you were.
Yeah,
$500. $600. Okay,
I'm just saying, let's be accurate with our numbers.
$600, $800. The point is, you're spending $half $1,000 plus tax on a system that's not ready to go. In the article here, simple things. We're talking like literally the stuff my universal remote does. You know, that it's like if you say Xbox One, you walk in, you say, or Xbox on or whatever. Xbox on. Turns your TV on, turns your Xbox on. That's great. But if you're already watching TV and you say Xbox on, your Xbox goes on, TV goes off. So it's not smart enough. It's like a universal remote. The universal remotes, most of them aren't smart enough to know if the TV's on or not. It's just a macro set of commands.
Sure.
It does do this, turn this on, turn this on, turn this on. So if they can't figure that out, and that's a selling point, and it's not ready to go, that to me is a simple thing. You know, that's just like, okay, then it's functions, but it doesn't work. You know what I mean? It's not workable 100% of the time. Why is it even included?
Yeah.
You know, what are they doing? Don't even include it until you have it working correctly. Like, bring it out a month later. There's this, like the snap to commands, like I mentioned before, where you can play your game, and for some reason you want to watch TV in the same corner or bring up a website for whatever reason. That's not totally working correctly. It doesn't work. Certain websites don't display right. That's not working correctly. The voice commands are glitchy. The biggest fault that was brought up, which can be extremely dangerous and funny if you have a roommate or a friend, you can switch games automatically with the voice command.
And it won't save your progress.
And it won't warn you. It won't say, like, are you sure you want to end your game in the middle of it? You can just switch out.
Well, they did say there was an update going up on Friday before the system's launch, and I guarantee you that is going to be something that gets immediately patched.
But why does it even have to get to that point?
Well, why did it have to be patched? Another thing is you can't look at your overall... And I feel like on current systems they bury this too far, but I'm constantly wanting to check the amount of space I have left on my hard drive.
Yes, I was going to bring that up.
PS3, and there is, as of right now, there is no way to check your overall storage usage on the Xbox One.
How is that even an oversight? That's like the most... What does it take you a minute to program that in? Display hard drive space. It's a computer, for God's sake. Any computer, you can see your hard drive space. What's going on?
I feel like there are people right now just stuffing these things into boxes, like taping them shut 3 or 4 times and sending them out the door like they're that far behind. You know, beads of sweat, just the size of an apple falling off of people's heads. I don't know. I mean, I actually feel, as time goes on, I actually feel less harsh about the Xbox One, only because, I don't know, because I don't have the energy to get.
Do you feel sorry for the Xbox One? I kind of feel sorry
to a degree, but I just don't have a lot of energy to get worked up about bullshit like this anymore. But I still find it insane that some of this stuff just isn't implemented right now.
But you still got to
review units.
But I'm always up on at least some sort of consumer advocacy, which is why...
Oh, yes, me too.
Which is why when people went at me for, why do you care that DR... It's like, you fucking asshole. I'm trying to defend your rights and speak up for it, and you're saying, why do we need... so what the Kinect's recording me and we can sell the data? You're on Facebook. Or they're trying to make like this sort of like parallel doesn't exist.
You need to not worry about teenagers who are angry because you insulted their...
But I mean, that's why I get worked up on it, because people are shelling out $600 with a controller. They couldn't have, at least Wii U had backwards compatible controllers. They're shelling out $600 after tax and the extra controller for a system that doesn't have bare bones functions that it should.
Right.
That it's advertised to be an all-in-one media center that has problems with that too. And plus it's built upon basically Windows 8, which everyone hates. So you have that going on. You have a universal remote function that doesn't function 100%. You have the snap to function that doesn't function 100%. And you have a funky ass voice command system that's inaccurate. In the Kotaku review, it was funny because he said you needed like an Xbox One voice to understand it.
Yeah.
So you had to be like, change your voice to Xbox One.
Well, what immediately popped into my head was when I would play games like Seaman on the Dreamcast, and you had to talk in a very deliberate tone, to make sure something would work. And I feel like we're still not necessarily past that point.
So basically, the Siri works better on your phone. Like that, you don't have to change your voice that much, really.
I've never talked to Siri. I don't. I have
You're
a
not
4.
friends with your Siri?
I have a 4.
Ooh, you're not as good as me.
Yeah,
You're not as
don't
cool.
care.
You're not as hip.
No.
But so that's where we're at, and so the games come in like way behind. That's what's so great about this. The PS4 is like, well, we're just a gaming console for the most part.
Yeah.
You have the PS3, you know what to expect. But with the Xbox, they're trying to throw so many new things in there that the gaming's secondary now with this release. And what release titles do we have? We have a few big release titles that you know about.
The exclusives would be Rise, which I don't care about. That looks pretty bad.
So you're a Roman Legion, you're a Centurion or whatever.
Cool idea, because it's not something that gets tackled a lot in games, but it looks like a very context-heavy game, which...
a lot of quickie time event stuff going on, and...
Quickie time?
Quickie time, that's why I just coined that. It's very quickie time-ish.
Yeah, a lot of that sort of thing. And then... Forza 5, which by all accounts is probably going to be fantastic if that's your thing, but I'm not into
It
racing
looks
simulators.
fantastic.
It does. It really does.
Well, I'm
It
not a
looks great.
fan. Well, I'm not a fan of third-person hack and slashes anyway. To me, there's just
We're
so
talking
redundant.
about Forza 5, which is not a third-person.
Oh, I thought they were
hack
talking
and
about Rise
slash.
still. Did I
That's-
totally forget you were talking about Forza?
Yeah.
Oh,
You
okay.
actually said it. You actually said the words Forza came out of your mouth, and then you said you don't like third-person hack and slashes.
Well, in Forza,
So-
why are they doing that in Forza then? Why are you hacking
Doesn't
and
make
slashing?
any sense. I thought this was a game about racing cars.
Wait, Forza then. I'm sorry. I'm still talking about
Yeah, so Forza 5, probably great if that's what you're into, but I don't like driving simulators. And then the third one, I never played anything in the series. Some people seem to think it's okay. I don't like the switch from comedic to more gritty necessarily, but Dead Rising 3,
It's a zombie game.
and it's Capcom, and I've kind of lost all my faith in Capcom long ago.
So the first couple, you're in a mall killing zombies with like...
First one you're in a mall, the second
golf
one you're not in a
clubs.
mall, and the third one you're
The first
there's
one,
some sand.
the first one to me was State of Emergency. That's what it was. That's what the first game was. Remember State of Emergency?
I do, but I think you're off your mark on that one.
Well, you're in a mall and you're just beating up random people and killing them. with
There's
objects.
lots of missions.
You like State of Emergency, really?
No, I never played State of
Oh.
Emergency. I'm talking.
So okay.
Stay on topic.
So you have three
Exclusive.
exclusives, and people get on Nintendo for not having a lot of exclusives coming out or a lot of launch titles that are worth getting. But you have these 3 games coming out on a system that was not ready to go, obviously. That probably needed a few more months of development on the software side, and could be more underpowered than the system that's selling for $100 less.
Yeah.
That's not a good place for Xbox to be. I'm just saying.
It's
I don't have a horse in the race. I'm just saying it's not a good place.
No, neither do I. I mean, at least not right now. I've made it clear on the podcast a few times that probably at some point next year I'll get a PS4. But
I'm definitely not getting an Xbox. If I get a PS4, Xbox One, it's not going to be an Xbox. I know that.
PS4's launch lineup, as I mentioned earlier, isn't particularly astounding. I don't think any of the exclusives are all that phenomenal looking. But I guess if you just want your system to... I still think it's slightly the more attractive option being $100 less and just being more focused on gaming.
Yeah.
Here's the other thing. If what you want is something that's all in one, that's really doing everything, you've already figured out how to work your gaming computer into your TV rig. And you're doing most of that already.
You're saying so the people already feel that they already have their big LCD TV.
I feel like the Xbox One is an unnecessary step between stuff that I've seen my friends do with their gaming PCs. Granted, you can't. Maybe you can. I don't know. But even if you can run your cable into a gaming PC, like we discussed earlier, cable is honestly becoming less and less of a factor. So, yeah, I don't know what they're hoping to get with all of these new gimmicks. It's going to come down to games one way or another.
Well, so that's what we said this before. I think it's the last hurrah for console generations, in quotes, like the official. Here's Generation 8. What's after this? What's going to come next?
Right.
Is it going to be needed in 6 years when I'm 1,000 years old? Is it going to be needed to have? All right, we have awesome graphics now. Now it's super awesome graphics that you can only tell if you squint at it. I mean, photorealism. We're almost there, but I don't think people even want that. That's really the last frontier.
I want my video games to look like video games to a degree.
And a lot of people say that.
Yeah, I don't want them to be photorealistic.
If we want to go back to photorealistic, we'll play the dataless encounter with Tia Carrera. Again. Where the hell did I pull that one out of?
I don't know.
Man, I have a wealth of
Your
PC ROM knowledge. How's my hair? Should I get a cut?
Puffy.